Okay, welcome everybody to the Black Diamond Call for Monday, January 9th, 2017. John Laveni is here with you live from Salt Lake City, and we are having a bit of a technical challenge or delay or something on this line tonight, and so hopefully everybody's able to hear me, and hopefully the recording is working. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then you know that it worked. So there we go. We do have some announcements. One announcement. Let me say here's our announcement that registration for the Ascend event is now open. Okay, so all Ascend event ticket holders, listen, you should have an email with a link for the registration in your inbox. Okay, and if it's not in your inbox, like if you use Gmail, maybe it's in your promotional or social or any of these other folders that you didn't ask for, but they gave you anyway. Make sure you find that link, okay? And if you can't find the email, then of course you can send an email to support@digitalaltitude.co. Once again, this is for fully paid Ascend members. You want to go ahead and register. Of course, the event is coming up March 8th through 11th in the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii, here in the United States, Maui. And I know that a lot of people are coming up from down under, Australia, New Zealand, et cetera, and of course from the States. And people who are going to take the longest ride are the people from across the pond over there in Europe and India and such. But definitely, I just tell you what, I'm so excited to be at this this first ever Ascend conference here inside Digital Altitude. I've told some of the people that I work with that I've been to many events around the world. I've been on many continents, have not been to Antarctica, not in a hurry to get to Antarctica, by the way, but if we ever get a following in Antarctica, I suppose we'll do an event there. We're just having a hard time, getting any traction in, penguin land. But the point is that we get to really experience the work from home and online marketing lifestyle, and some of the highlights of that are what we get to experience at these events. So in any event, if you've already got an Ascend ticket, then you have a registration page which you can access. Again, look for that email in your inbox or any other sub-inbox that you may possess. And if you don't find it, you can go ahead and email support@digitalaltitude.co, not .com, .co. Okay, that is the email address, support@digitalaltitude.co. And that is my one and only announcement for tonight. Now, of course, the Black Diamond Call. This call is a little bit different in the way that we hear pretty raw and off-the-cuff topics here on the Black Diamond Call. The purpose of this call is to accelerate your process and your evolution into becoming a top earner by hearing ideas from top earners. And for the last few weeks, I've been running a solo act here. I'm going to do that again tonight. And we're going to have an awesome guest speaker out here next week. And as we are recovering from the holidays, we're getting our schedules back up and getting people into the flow with our different calls. I see a lot of new people joining us, so I do want to make a special welcome to all of our brand new people. If this is your first Black Diamond Call, hang on to your hat. Just to get a little bit, take what you like and leave the rest. And of course, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. That's just the way we roll. I'd rather, help people get results than, talk about the same worn out stuff that you can hear anywhere in, personal development land. I like personal development that works based on my own experience and what I've actually seen work in my life and in my business. So that's what I want to give you here tonight. And tonight, I was thinking about, what would be the most appropriate thing, considering how many new people we've just had get started. I see that our calendars are blowing up with new members. Okay, as somebody who does coaching here, I'm seeing my calendar absolutely explode with new members. So it's a delight to see. And so what I wanted to do, what I wanted to cover, and as people know, right, I never know what's going to come out of my mouth until I hear it come out of my mouth. So this training is for me as well. I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say each week. But one of the things that came up for me just as I was getting this call started was, as a new person coming into this industry, which I was at one time. No, I was not born into a million-dollar producer in direct sales, right? That was something that I had to evolve into. And there was a time when I was not yet that. And in becoming that, I had to learn a few things. I had to learn how to be powerful in ways that I had never been powerful before. Because my best thinking got me only so far. It got me working a job, 60 to 80 hours a week, getting my pay cut 3 times a year, working my ass off, answering to a boss who in my assessment was not qualified to give me orders. And my goal was seemingly out of reach. In fact, it was out of reach. Empirically, yes, it was out of reach for years. For years, I wanted to make a multiple six-figure income. And so I looked at different home-based businesses. I participated for a couple of years in various businesses. I also put over $100,000 into a franchise. Again, working around the clock. I was lacking motivation. Hopefully you can relate to this. Hopefully you're listening right now as a motivated person. I have to assume you are. There's probably more entertaining things you can do on a Monday night besides, being on a call like this. Although I like to believe that I'm entertaining, but the point is that I wanted more out of my life. However, my best thinking had only gotten me so far. It got me to the point where I could, I suppose, max out whatever position I was able to secure at a job, at some corporation, working for another person. But it didn't get me further. It didn't get me to where I really wanted to be. Where I really wanted to be was that multiple six-figure. That was about as big as I could think at the time, was multiple six figures. Okay, which anything over $200,000 a year, well, that qualifies as multiple six figures, right? And I was never able to do it at a job. And so I was thinking, man, if I could just get to $20,000 a month, that would be spectacular. I was never able to do it before. Interestingly, I was able to do that in 3 months with the business model that we all have here inside Digital Altitude. And I did that back in the Stone Age prior to the existence of Digital Altitude and all of the advantages that we have here now that this whole program exists. We've got some big advantages, I would say unfair advantages in the marketplace because, of course, time has gone on and, we've learned some stuff. This did not happen by chance. Michael Force took a whole year putting this together and bringing together the team of people to help deliver this in the marketplace, okay? And it's still coming together. Everyone who's hearing this live right now, January 9th, 2017, understand that you're right at the beginning. This has not even gotten traction yet in the marketplace, and yet we've already broken every record in the top-tier direct sales space. Spectacular results, okay? And why? Why? Because we've got something that's a cut above. Yes, a cut above all this other stuff that's out in the marketplace. So I'm not here to sell you Digital Altitude. Obviously, you're listening to this. You've already made the decision to be here. Okay, I'm just here to reinforce that that this is something that could actually be of an even greater magnitude than you realize right now. And one of those reasons certainly has to be the timing of all this, the timing. However, with all these advantages, here's where I wanted to go with this tonight. With all these advantages that we have, and that you can see, and the results that you can see around the community when you join us on our daily calls, and when you're participating with your coach or talking to your sponsor, assuming your sponsor runs a team site or does maybe a weekly team call or whatever they're doing. And different sponsors have different strategies and different degrees of accessibility. But as you continue to immerse yourself in this environment, one of the ways you'll do that, by the way, is showing up at the the Ascend event, in Maui. But as you continue to immerse yourself in this environment, you'll continue to find evidences that support the idea that you are in a powerful position. You've got a very robust opportunity to finally get the money thing handled, to significantly impact your immediate financial future. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now, the fact that it didn't cost you millions of dollars to get involved, like if you were, starting a couple. To resolve, right? We just got through the New Year holiday, so people have made New Year's resolutions. The fact that it didn't cost you $1 million to get involved, that you discount your ability to treat it as if, because I'll tell you, when I got started all those years ago, for tens of thousands of dollars in a business model just like this, right? It felt like millions of dollars to me. And there was no turning back. So yeah, I behaved as if I had a $1 million business, multi-million-dollar business that now had to bear fruit. There was no, option for failure. It had to bear fruit. And with all the advantages that we have now, there is still some things that can hold people back. Despite the road that has been paved for everyone here, and the fact that we've got the corporate staff, and of course the sales assist and the coaches and people that can help you with all the back end work, and that all you really have to do as a marketer here is learn and execute some marketing. In other words, drive traffic to the offer, right? I mean, that's your only post. And assuming that you can man that post, that you can learn what to do and then go ahead and do it, right? You can have success here. This is great. However, there are still some things that can hold people back. And it would be nice to know what these enemies of your success are, so this way you can do something about them, right? I mean, you can't do something about a problem that you haven't identified. And so my offering to you tonight is a few problems. I'm going to give you a few problems. Actually, you've already got the problems. I'm just going to give you a flashlight that you can shine on these problems and help them go away. So this way you're not encumbered by things that are avoidable and that anyone with a bit of intelligence can easily overcome. So there's the good news. Once you know what the problems are and you know how to deal with them, you can deal with them. If you've got enough intelligence to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, you can overcome these problems. And so I want to talk to you about, by the way, when I say problems, I know there are people there are people in the self-help and personal growth field that they never want to use the word problem. Well, it's a challenge, we're having a challenge. Okay, well, that's fine. I don't give a damn what you call it. This isn't about semantics, okay? In fact, the way I look at it, problem solving is one of the highest functions of the human being, the human mind. I mean, that's one of the things that we can do that most other creatures on the planet can't do, right? We can't solve problems. Now, people can, right? So our greatest weapon is our mental faculties, of which we have a few, right? And so not to get off on too much of a tangent, but everyone who's here now, you've got a variety of mental faculties. These are things that separate you from, domestic animals and stuff. These are things that you could use. These are things you could develop, just like any other physical muscle, okay? But these are intellectual and mind muscles, if you will. And these are things like memory, right? You get to remember stuff, right? And certainly we could see some animals, have memories too. They know not to, you could train them, right, to not do this, but to do that. My dog knows not to go to the bathroom in the house, right? I'm very happy for that bit of memory that my dog has, knows not to do that. That's very convenient. That allows me to continue to create order in my environment. What else? We've got the memory. We've got reason, right? We can reason that, certain things are the way they are because, after all, we've got experiences that we can look at and say, well, I can reason that, this is the outcome. When I take this action, this is what happens, right? You don't put your hand on that hot stove, right? I did that when I was a kid, and guess what? I got burned. And I can reason. Again, I'm combining memory with reason now. And, I remember what that stove felt like, and I can reason that if I touch that hot stove again, I'm going to get burned. So let me be very reasonable and not do that, okay? So this is good survival stuff. We get to move through life. It's very convenient, okay? But these first two mental faculties are rather limited. They're limited because they're based on things that are already known by us, which are, of course, things that happened in the past, right? You can't reason about data that you haven't experienced or learned yet, right? For example, reaching a goal, like that goal of making a multiple six-figure income. When I first got started, that was my goal. And guess what? I could not come up with enough reason, enough mental ability to get that job done, because had I already known how to reach that goal based on memory and reason, I would have already reached the goal. Does that make sense? So all of our goals lie in the realm of the unknown. So these two mental faculties that I just mentioned are limited, okay? But there are other mental faculties which are not limited, okay, that we can also exercise like a muscle. One of those is imagination. Imagination, the ability to induce a thought, to image, right? Imagination, to image. We're talking about inductive reasoning now, whereas reason was deductive, okay? Like I know this and that, therefore here's the outcome, right? So that's deductive. 1 + 1 = 2. That's deductive, okay? But the imagination, which is not limited, can conjure up a picture, can create an image which has never existed on the physical plane before, and that image can be you experiencing the multiple 6 to 7-figure income lifestyle, being there with us in Maui or in Greece or wherever we're going for peak, you know, and Apex and all this, and these exotic locations, and living the online marketing lifestyle, having the dollars in your bank account. You can create an image in your mind where you see the bank statement. Okay, this requires imagination. You see the big balance that you have in your coffers, and you see the relationships that you currently have with people like your spouse, your kids, your other people, perhaps coworkers or ex-coworkers, soon to be, where you're going and you're quitting that job, perhaps, right? You could see this is through your imagination. You see yourself walking into that boss's office and saying, I can no longer afford to work for you. Thank you for the opportunity, but I figure I lose a couple of $1,000 every day I show up here, so I'm going to go ahead and get my hat off the hat rack. And I had that conversation, by the way. Okay, I envisioned it in my mind first. I used my imagination. Okay, so the imagination is not limited, right? We've also got this thing called intuition, right? Napoleon Hill talked about this in his classic book, the Think and Grow Rich, right, where he talked about the sixth sense, right? This is the intuition or the instinct, like Donald Trump talked about in his classic book, Art of the Deal, right, his instinct. So this is something that's developed like a muscle, but it's based on developing other mental faculties. You don't just show up and, suddenly you just joined the Psychic Friends hotline or something. No, there's a bit of development that goes on with that. But this intuition, you get a gut feeling about something, right? So there's a reason for that. That's one of your mental faculties, and it's not limited because it's not just based on reason. So sometimes you're going to hear people talking about, especially people like me, you're going to hear me talking about being unreasonable. That doesn't mean to be irrational, okay? Look at the words in the dictionary if you need to. Irrational is one thing. That's not what we're looking for. Unreasonable, yes. We're going to be unreasonable. We're going to go beyond the limits of just reason here. Reasonable got me so far, but not further. Okay, reasonable helps me survive in the road, and not to walk in front of a car on the street or not to put my hand on the stove. That's all very nice. That's all very reasonable. Okay, but when it comes to reaching new heights of personal expression and financial ability, reason is quite limited. Quite limited. Okay, so we've got to use our imagination, and sometimes we've got to go with our gut feeling, the intuitions, right? They come up. We also have another mental faculty called perception, right? How we look at stuff. This is something we can deliberately develop and become more able in our ability to perceive things from different viewpoints, like perhaps the customer's viewpoint. This is something else that will help you in your marketing, will it not? Think like the customer, think like your prospect, your guest, your, whatever kind of business we're talking about. What's important to that person? A lot of people fall into this trap. Again, we're talking about, and we're about to be talking about, some of the advantages that we have here inside Digital Altitude specifically. But certainly any business where somebody can enroll and have a product that's already made for them and have a corporate staff that's already doing the work and the bookkeeping and the legal stuff and all that behind the scenes, and graphic designers who can make the websites and all this, they've got advantages too. However, one advantage they don't have is the advantage of being able to perceive what somebody who knows not that any of this exists, what they really want. This comes down, you need a marketer to do this, right? And by the way, the company, the product provider, right, quite often is not the marketer. Not the marketer, okay? Everyone listening to this right now, you are the marketing arm. This is it, right? So Digital Altitude provides the products, the opportunity, the compensation plan, the stuff. They host the events. They do the thing, right? That's all nice, okay? But marketers are needed. Otherwise, I mean, if the company was going to do that too, well, then there would be no opportunity here for you, right? All posts would be filled, right? We don't need you here. Okay, there are companies that have that post filled, and there's no opportunity for you in those companies. Apple, for example, they don't need you to market their stuff. Okay, they're marketing it themselves, and sometimes at great cost, and sometimes at great profit. Okay, but they've taken that post on themselves. Okay, so our ability to perceive correctly or incorrectly sometimes what the public wants, that's another mental faculty that we can develop. Okay, now all of these things, I keep talking about developing these things and that we've got these advantages, right? So it sounds very nice, like, oh, John, I'm in the right place. Yes, you are in the right place. However, if we're going to maximize the fruits of this opportunity and our ability to perform, then we're going to have to learn some stuff. Yes, we're going to have to learn some stuff. These are the ways that we increase our ability to use these mental faculties and others, okay, by being deliberate and learning stuff, because here's the thing, my friends, all of this comes down to, if we just boil the whole thing down to why we're here to experience more of the life that we want and less lack and limitation, okay? More increase, abundance, prosperity, right? Less strife and struggle and limitation, okay? So if that's the case, what we're really talking about is having more control and freedom in our lives. That's why we are here, and I think that's a universal why for a lot of people. Now, what does that look like? Well, it looks like something different for everybody. Something different for everybody, right? It's your pictures that you're using your imagination to conjure up. Okay, these pictures are different for you than they are for anybody else. Fine, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? Nobody can set a goal for you, right? It's you. I mean, we're talking about your life here. Okay, so knowing that we're all driven toward experiencing more of what we want, less of what we don't, we could say that that would be a condition of increased control or increased freedom in our lives. Okay, we can interchange those words right there. Now, and of course, in order to experience that freedom, we're going to have to accept some responsibilities that we haven't accepted before, right? Like the responsibility for essentially writing our own paycheck, the responsibility for knowing what we're putting out there in the marketplace, doing the work, doing the marketing, driving the traffic, learning what we've got to learn in terms of, being able to, impinge into the marketplace and create some trust and credibility with us, right? How do we occur in the marketplace? Well, I am responsible for how I occur in the marketplace. And if I refuse to accept that responsibility, just like when I was working a job, that was not my responsibility. That was the company I was working for, right? They go place the ads. They go do the company image. They do whatever they're going to do, right? I'm just along for the ride. I don't have control of that because I don't have responsibility for that. You see this? You see how you can't have freedom without also accepting? I heard somebody once say, you can have as much money as you're willing to take responsibility for. And this was said in a seminar, by the way, and I heard a little bit of a gasp in the audience because responsibility is like the R word. It's like, oh no, that's even worse than the W word, work, which for some reason has been invalidated terribly in our society as of late. Like work is somehow a bad and laborious thing. And yes, it can be laborious, but not if we like our work. And I'll tell you what, for every intelligent person here listening to this right now, marketing is something you can really get interested in. I mean, it's something you can really fall in love with it. What it actually is the study of human psychology and decision making. That's it. It's, behind all marketing is that. Again, we're talking about flexing our muscle, our mind muscle of perception. Okay, so what does the customer want? Well, you got to figure that out, right? And there's different campaigns, and some are winners, and some are losers, and that's marketing. Everything's a test, right? But for as long as I was not engaged in developing this mental muscle and accepting the responsibility, I also didn't get the freedom in my life. So you see, these things go hand in hand. But at the base of all of it, okay, well, John, how do you become more able to respond? How do you become more causative and thereby have more, control and freedom in your life. What's at the base of all of it? Well, the base of all of it is, like I said before, my best thinking only got me so far, so I need to learn some of the best thinking of other people. Yes, I need to learn some stuff, right? Reason helps me survive in the world and helps me get things done. And guess what? If I augmented that and all these other mental faculties, I could be pretty damn powerful. Yes, I could. Am I willing to learn? Am I willing to, in some cases, and this is scary, abandon some of my most cherished beliefs, which evidently are not serving me? Am I willing to try a new way? Am I willing to start a new career, to go in a whole different direction? Because after all, if what I'm doing now isn't getting me where I want to go, well, hey, I could do anything but that, right? Possibly get a better result. Am I willing to learn? Now, interestingly, one of the most, in fact, the most common answer I get when I ask people why they chose to get started with Digital Altitude, the most common answer I get is that we have a platform which includes personalized coaching. People want help. People want assistance, right? Will you help me? That's the number one question on people's minds. And of course, can I make money? Does this work? Things like that. And subconsciously, who can I trust? People big deciding factors for people, and you can corroborate this. You might be nodding your head right now. You can certainly type in the chat roll if you agree or disagree. But one of the big attractions here is that you get to work with people who've already made millions of dollars doing what you say you want to do, right? This is it. This is part of the community. It's what you get here. You're not, here's the desk, here's the phone, see you later, you're on your own. That was an old saying from my multi-level marketing days. I remember hearing that. But the point is that that you get to learn from people who have walked the path that you intend to walk. This is a big deal. You get to learn, assuming that you're willing to learn. And I would venture that you are, since, again, people who just want to do everything, as a lone ranger, just be on their own, they don't join Digital Altitude. Right? There's a million things you can go do on your own. You can go you can go start your own thing. Right? You can go be a lone ranger. That's fine. None of those people are here, though. Right? We've got big advantages here. So yes, we're willing to learn some stuff. And that right there, my friends, that right there is what sets you apart from the people who don't make it and don't overcome the problems of marketing and the problems of business, the problems of life, where they never get to experience the freedom that is the reason why we're all here in the first place, because they never learn stuff. Most people have never read a book once they've graduated high school and read the obligatory crap that they force kids to read in high school. Never read a book again. Tragic, right? So I've heard that if you don't read, you're no better off than someone who can't read. So hopefully everyone here is literate, okay? And if you need help with that or help with the English language, there's courses you can get into that could be part of your marketing training, is getting good with English. And I know it's fashionable in some circles to be bad with English or to not be able to make sentences. I don't subscribe to that. I think that's fairly obvious. But the point is that you're going to be able to have all the money that you're willing to take responsibility for. But at the base of that responsibility is your ability to learn and know stuff. So here are the problems that are going to come up for you because you've made this decision. You see, you get to have problems. Right? This isn't the bowl of cherries, okay? You get to no longer have certain problems, like I have no control of my life, I work 80 hours a week and I get my pay cut 3 times a year. I don't have that problem anymore. Thank you. Thank you. I've got different problems and I signed up to have different problems. Okay? Here are the problems that I get to solve now, right? The problems of sales and marketing, which statistically are the most profitable problems that you could ever solve. I mean, when we talk about why people pay for stuff in the marketplace, it's because you've got a solution to their problem. Even if it's something as mundane as I don't have a TV upon which to watch my favorite TV shows. Okay, well, I've got a television problem, and somebody, Samsung, is going to solve that problem for me. That's why I give them money. Okay. Now, in this world, right, where we're dealing with income opportunity and online marketing and personal development and the whole art and science of marketing itself, we've got problems like what does the marketplace respond to? And you'll see that we've got a variety of sales funnels and various online assets, websites and such that you'll be participating, some of which you're already participating in. They're already live. That's how you got here now, right? You went through a sales funnel. You got to experience, here's Michael Force, and here's some of our leaders who are nobody held a gun to my head. Okay, I signed up to be in sales and marketing. Okay, and prior to that, I was in the mechanical fields. Some of you know my story. I was a mechanic. I was a master diagnostician of automotive and diesel technology. I was a tugboat engineer in a fleet in New York Harbor. I know about locomotive engines, train engines. I know about electronics. Or I used to know. Let me say all that. This was some decades ago. I used to know about all these things. I got trained on this stuff, right? And it's very black and white. There's no test, let's see if this works. No, you don't see if it works. You damn well better know it works. That engine better run or you're fired, right? It either works or it doesn't work. Black and white. And that's my training, right? So here I was opting into this world of where everything's a test, everything's gray. There is no black and white. What is the best advertisement to run? Nobody knows, right? You can run advertisement A and run it against advertisement B. That's called split testing, right? And the marketplace will tell you which one is the better one. Don't even look at your own opinion about it. I'll tell you what. There's a joke in my companies where I've got graphic designers and people that work for us, and they pretty much the joke is that if John likes it, it's no good, right? So whatever logo John likes, let's not go with that one. And that's probably because of my adolescence. I was all into, and I still am, into all like heavy metal. Every logo that I like looks like a heavy metal band for some reason. But yeah, I mean the marketplace responds to different things. So John's opinion about it is utterly irrelevant. Okay, and again, that could be a bit maddening for people who take pride in their work and who want to do it right. I like to do good work, damn it. I like to get it right the first time. My job depended on it back when I was in the mechanical fields, right? Well, John, you got different problems now, right? And they're much more profitable problems. And great news, you don't have to be right because there's no such thing. All you got to do is go out there and test stuff. That's really cool. Okay. Now, in order to do all this, let's say, hold on a second here. Let's say that I just gave you a concept. You're brand new. You're one day in this business. You have never even heard of split testing. You don't even know what I'm talking about. This is Greek. What is this guy talking about here, this John Lavenia guy, split testing? Well, let me tell you, there are lots of things that you're going to learn as you become more competent and more able as a marketer. There's lots of things you're going to learn. It's going to be like learning a new language because, in fact, you've entered a new world, a new profession, and with that, there's a bit of nomenclature, there's a bit of lingo that goes with that, and that's all fine, right? If I was going to be a doctor, I would know lots of Latin, right? I don't know a whole lot of Latin, but as a doctor, I would know all the different Latin terms or the different things. And guess what? I didn't opt into that deal. That's not my deal, right? Fortunately, there are other people, they love that stuff. That's just not my bag, okay? And we've got doctors here. They know a lot of that lingo, okay? But now they're learning this lingo. Well, here's the thing. Whether you're learning to be a doctor or you're learning to do marketing or you're learning anything, learning how to put together diesel engines or something, no matter what you're learning, there are going to be things that are like a new language to you. Now, here are some of the problems of learning, okay? Because like we already talked about, right, for us to experience this freedom, we've got to be responsible for that freedom. For us to experience big money, we've got to be responsible for that money. But in order to even have any of that accessible to us. We've got to know things that we didn't know before, because reason only got us so far. Our memory is only of things we've experienced in the past. Yes, we must develop our reason, our memory, our perception, our imagination, our intuition, and all mental faculties to be the most powerful version of us that we can be in the marketplace. That's what we get paid for, our ability to produce results in the marketplace. And nobody cares how long it takes you to do it, just that you're able to do it, right? And the faster you get, the more money you get in less time. I'm not going to say you're going to get rich quick. You're just going to make a lot more money in a lot less time. So pick whichever words are best to you. I actually heard a guy once say that, some people say, oh, I don't want to get rich quick. And he said, well, that's the only way to get rich. That's it. You make money fast. The alternative is you make money slow and you be broke like everybody else. So yeah, let's get rich quick. Anyway, so for you to be able to amass, this effectiveness in the form of dollars and a pleasing lifestyle and all this kind of stuff, yes, the basis of all of it is that you're willing and able to learn some stuff. But there's a few things that get in the way. There are a few things that stop people, and one of them is the language itself, right? What is split testing? Now, if you didn't really get the concept of split testing that just there, okay, I want you to go and you can Google it. You can look in your RISE program, right, assuming you got RISE. I'm assuming everybody does. It's our core product. You can go on to our traffic trainings and different things that we actually demonstrate split testing in some of these trainings, okay? But I'll tell you right now what it is. It's basically where you've got two versions of the same asset, okay? You've got a lead capture page that says, here's the free stuff, give us your name and email address. And you've got lead capture page number 2 that says, here's the free stuff, give us your name and email address. But one of them's blue and one of them's red, or one of them has a free book and the other one has a free video series, or one of them has a different headline than the other one, or one word that's different in the headline, or a different colored box for you to put the, your email address and click the submit button, right? So that would be split testing. And yeah, you can get it down to splitting hairs. Oh, that shade of red is not as good as the other shade of red. I don't take it that far. Okay, some people, if they've got, a staff full of, a staff full of designers, they're just cranking out samples all day, and they're running traffic all day, and they're split testing again and again and again and again, and, they're optimizing nonstop. You can take it to a mad extreme, okay? But that's what split testing is. It's like A versus B. That's it. That's all it is. Now, if you didn't know that, right, if you just blew right past that concept and never really got it defined, never really understood what it was, that would not be usable to you. And even though you had experienced some guy talking about split testing, it would not have been a proper education for you. It would not have augmented your knowledge of it. You'd still be just as ignorant and not able in the area of split testing because you never understood the words. That does not qualify you to take more responsibility and therefore gain more freedom in your life. So the purpose of all this education, Napoleon Hill talked about this a long time ago. He said the purpose of education is not to cause people to think in a way that they did not previously think. It is to cause them to behave in a way that they did not previously behave. All education is for use. And I know that flies in the face of what's happening right now in public university and, government-run schools and all this. And again, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. Okay, bottom line is we're turning out kids, after 4 years of college and $150,000 in debt, have no marketable skills whatsoever. Pathetic. Okay, so that's where we can go with this, and that's where a lot of people have gone, and it's tragic. Okay, people actually, there are tests that show that the longer people stay in formal education, the vast majority, their IQ, their intelligence quotient reduces. That was a lower IQ. Oh my goodness. And we can stand by and let this happen. Or we can be more deliberate. Yes, we can accept more responsibility for our own knowing of stuff. And that starts with understanding the language, knowing the lingo. Do not go past a concept that you can't use, that you can't apply, right? If you don't understand the words, grab a dictionary. Do whatever you got to do to fully understand the concepts that you will be presented with as you learn this new profession. Yes, this profession of sales and marketing, the highest paid profession in the world statistically, unless you're a rock star, and those are about 1 in a million, okay, and I don't look good in a bikini shaking my butt on stage, okay, so I'm going to do sales and marketing, okay, I'm not going to be a pop star, okay, so there you go, right, and even if I wanted to be a pop star, it's like 1 in a million shot of doing that. So this is truly the easier, softer way. If you're looking for something much more reliable, much more predictable than, you know, trying to make it in the music business. Okay, so when people say, oh, well, you know, so few people make it in home-based business or in online marketing, people like to cite negative statistics. Well, yeah, most people never learn anything. Most people who identify as online marketers can't define the word marketing. That's the whole concept is lost to them. They can mouth the words, they can regurgitate what they heard some self-help speaker say in a seminar or what they heard on a training or something. They're pretenders. That at the base of all this success that you're looking to have here, you've got to know some stuff. Actually know. Actually know. And that means you can use it. Yes, education is for use. So you got to understand the words. That's a problem. That's a problem for some people. That means you're going to go a little bit slower at first, because when this guy Lavenia said, you know, split testing, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. All right, stop everything. Let's figure out what is this split testing thing, okay? And feel quite entitled to get full understanding. If you got a question for your coach, you got a question for your sponsor, ask the questions. I'll tell you what, when people come to me with questions that are based on like a concept that we're talking about here, I know they're digging into the material. Thank you. Thank you for having a good question for me. That means that you're learning something, right? Now, if people have no questions or they have questions about, you know, how's the weather or whatever, yeah, I could talk about the weather a little bit. You know, we had a very warm day here today in Salt Lake City. We melted a bunch of snow. Streets were nice and clean. It was good. Yeah, it was good. Is that going to make you money? No. Okay, so that's small talk. Beyond that, we got to get deep, because this is talking about your future. We're talking about your immediate financial future here. Act as if your life depends on it. It does depend on it, and you are entitled to fully understand every concept that you go through here inside Digital Altitude as if you had to go ahead and use it, because you do. Now, some concepts you won't use, not at the outset. I was just talking to a student, Vassandra, if you're online. Hi, Vassandra. Always good to talk to you. And I was talking to a student about some of the stuff in the BASE program, which a lot of our members here are experiencing. Our new members, they're going through BASE and RISE, and some of the concepts are things that, of course, you know, Michael has experienced and helped, you know, build Digital Altitude. Some of these things are things you're not going to necessarily apply right now. You're not going to go start your own, you know, company or product and stuff like that. You've got a business in a box, basically, here with Digital Altitude. So that's nice. So these are concepts that you may not apply right now, but perhaps in the future. So that brings me to another barrier that you may face as you're going through this whole evolutionary process and becoming more able to live the life that you want. And that is that you sometimes look at things like too steep. The mountain is too tall. I mean, there's so many concepts here. I can't do them all. I can't tackle this whole thing. Look, guys, when I got started as a mechanic, it was not, you know, John and a bucket full of parts and now go build an engine. No. That was as a master I could do that. Okay, but it started with a very easy on-ramp, like here's, you know, nuts and bolts, here's what they do, here's what steel is, here's why we use steel. Steel's a very strong metal. It's, you know, iron plus carbon. It's very hard. There are different hardness levels. It expands at different rates compared to things like aluminum and brass. Those metals are here too, and we use them for different purposes, and here's why, right? So getting all these concepts, right, some of it seems a bit overwhelming, right? Because you're getting so much all at once. And yes, you'll find there's quite a bit of over-delivery here inside Digital Altitude. You can do a lot with the things you're going to learn here inside Digital Altitude. Does that mean you need to take on the whole mountain in one day? No, my goodness. There is such a thing as a gradient, right? Just look at our ascension model itself, right? We've got base, right, which is at the bottom of the mountain. Then we got rise, you're rising up, and then you got ascend, you're ascending. You get to a peak, and the next thing you know, you're at the apex, right? So that is an ascension model, right? There is no helicopter that says you've completed everything, the entire curriculum. We're just going to helicopter you to the apex, right? Now, there are people who come in here with what seems like a helicopter because they've already been in the game. They've been in the conversation for years. In my case, for decades, we've been in this conversation. I don't need to learn the language. Actually, there's new words I learn all the time. Okay, but we don't need to learn a whole new language from scratch, and we're already pretty damn high on that gradient when we got here. So yeah, it seems like we just got a catapult, and boom, we're at the top of our ability. Okay, and there are ways to speed that process. Okay, and the point though that I'm making is that you need to be able to use and apply as you continue to increase in ability. You don't get all your ability in one day. And I know that it's very fashionable to talk about microwave results, kind of like a diet pill, right? The magic diet pill of the stars, where you effortlessly shed those pounds. I know there's some New Year's resolutionists who are out buying diet pills right now, okay? I mean, after all, if it was as simple as nutrition and exercise, wouldn't everybody do it? It is as simple as nutrition and exercise, and no, not everybody's going to do it. In fact, most people won't. So there are diet pill companies to sell people the instant results, okay? But I can tell you that's very ephemeral, which means it doesn't last long. You get to become a more able person, and then you get to enjoy the spoils of that freedom that is the reason why you're here in the first place, right? So we're going to attack this whole enterprise, right, with a gradual learning and application, which brings me to the next thing that I want to make sure that you fully get. Okay, is that there is a difference between understanding the theory about something and putting it to use. Like I said before, all education is to cause people to behave in a way they did not previously behave. That behavior, we could say, is a competent marketer. Yes, they are doing the marketing because now they know how, right? They are placing ads and they are driving traffic because now they know how. That is the behavior that we are inducing via all of this education. Okay, great. Well, if you only took the theory, like in the RISE program, for example, you'll find there's a lot of theory. There's a lot of good marketing philosophy in there. Okay, great. And then the practical application of that theory you'll find in our weekly traffic trainings, which our RISE members get, and with the private traffic coaches that our Ascend and Peak and Apex members get. And with On the Rise, we do on Wednesday nights. We have the On the Rise episodes, right, where you get those nuts and bolts trainings. We do the screen share. We're going to have a great one this week, by the way. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be on, but it's going to be really cool. So you get to see practical application. So you've got to have theory and practical application. You've got to have them both. Where there's an imbalance, you don't know why something works. Like, I couldn't put together an internal combustion engine until I knew about why internal combustion is and, the theory behind it, okay? At the same time, right, if all I had was the theory and I never saw an engine, if I never touched the nuts and bolts or the pistons or anything, then, I could be a doctorate of, internal combustion theory, and then somebody could show me an engine. I would be like, well, what is that? What is that, right? I have no idea, right? Because I'm not in the environment of it. I had never touched it before, okay? So you've got to have theory and practical. Now, a lot of people want to jump right to practical use, right? All you got to do is click this button and just tell me what to do, man. Give me the nuts and bolts. I don't want that mindset stuff, philosophy and the marketing theory and all this stuff. I just want the quick fix, man. I just want to go right for the dollars. Don't you have the microwave? Where's the diet pill? That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying, okay? So you got to have the theory too. You can't just have the practical, okay? So you got to find the balance with that. And fortunately here in Digital Altitude, you get both. You get both, okay? So all of this leads to you being competent. And through competence comes confidence. Yes, and my friends, that's what sells. That's it, the confidence, the certainty. Remember this, if you remember nothing else from tonight, certainty sells. Uncertainty does not sell. And so whatever that certainty looks like on your face, whatever your personal expression of that is going to be way more compelling and way more attractive to your prospects, to the public, okay, than you wondering if you're doing it right, or I'm confused, or I don't understand what split testing is, or, what is cost per acquisition, or, yeah, you know what, I need to do everything all at once because, I'm after all, I'm already a week into this business and I should make $1 million by now. Or, you know what, I've got a head full of theory, but I've never touched, a lead capture page, so I don't even know what that is. I need to go figure out what that is now. So you see all this, when we get all this true understanding, true education, to the point where we can use it, we actually become the expert that we may have put on the pedestal and that the public may be putting on the pedestal right now. We've got experts here in this community, but you become one of them. You become one of them by your increased ability to know and execute the things which matter most in this enterprise. One of those things is obviously your ability to market and drive traffic. One of those things is your ability to cultivate a team. And one of those things which I think are right at the top. In fact, in my life, in my reality, in my experience, it is the top. And that is my ability to be the most powerful version of myself that I can be. Yes, there it is. More important than what I do is who is doing it. Two people could write the same email. One's going to get a result, the other one's not, and it's because of who wrote it. And that is where the confidence build has to come. And that comes through you increasing your ability to know and execute on this education, which is what this whole program is about. And my friends, once you've got this, right, however long it takes for you, once you've got this, you know what to do. You're a competent marketer. You know how to sell. You know how to put something into the marketplace. You know how to induce decisions in the lives of people who are looking for that solution. You know how to sell the TV to the guy who wants to watch his favorite TV shows, right? Or whatever. I'm just giving you, something objective we can look at and say, yeah, Samsung solved my problem. You become a problem solver, not only in your own life, but in the lives of people who are looking for solutions. You can go anywhere you want. You can work from anywhere you want. You want to go get a sales job? You can. You want to start your own products and run your own course? You can do whatever you want. You want to write a book like I did? Fantastic. Now you'll have a customer base. This is the beauty of what you're learning here. This is the beauty of what this whole program is about. You see, it's a much bigger mission than just some online marketing deal. No, it's not a quick fix. But what in life that's worth attaining? What in life doesn't have some work along with it, right? Again, everything worth having, there's going to be some effort involved. I know an Olympic skier. I know a couple Olympic skiers, by the way. And, these people, they work their asses off to attain, those medals. This is not something they just did as a hobby, right? And, fortunately for everybody here, this is something that arguably can make you a lot more money than, being an Olympic medalist. You get some endorsements and I'm sure you make some money, but then, time goes on, you got to get into other stuff, maybe become a ski instructor or whatever it happens to be. But the point is here, you've got a lasting skill that you can continue to grow and build on and have more and more freedom in your life. Now, look, I started this whole conversation saying that I'm always excited to hear what's going to come out of my mouth because I get to hear it too. So let me thank myself. Hey, thanks, John. That was great. Yeah, you're welcome, man. No problem. See, I need these reminders too. I can use these ideas in my life because you know what? Complacency can set in, right? The fact that you've already made big money, if you're listening to this and you're already, a multiple 6 or 7-figure earner, the fact that you've made big money does not mean that the marketplace is never going to change and yesterday's methods are the methods you'll use tomorrow and you get to go drink coconuts on the beach for the rest of your life. No, no, no. By the way, I've made that mistake. Not the coconut thing, but the ignoring the changes in the marketplace. I've made that mistake, expensive mistake. Stopped learning, stopped accepting the responsibility for my own progress, for my own evolution, for my own freedom, and guess what? Reduced freedoms, reduced control, right? Reduced ability to have what I want. Now, I'm not here to scare you and tell you that this is a journey that never ends, but I can tell you that it's a purpose that never ends, right? When are we done? When are we done with this purpose of living our lives, of being, doing, and having all that we choose to experience? Well, we'll know when we're done because we'll be 6 feet under or a pile of ashes, right? That's when we're done. Okay, so that's why it's so important to really dig in and enjoy this work, right? It's a very interesting topic, this whole marketing thing, this whole idea of what we're doing here with Digital Altitude. Very interesting, and the lifestyle that goes along with it. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go on our next business trip. I'm going to go suffer through a business trip in Maui and eat Kahlua pork and drink from coconuts and hang out with some of my favorite people in the world. Oh, the pain of it all. Oh, and then tomorrow I get to turn on my computer, which is a gorgeous MacBook Pro, and I get to sit in my beautifully appointed office with my cherry wood furniture. This is just such a drag, and nobody's going to tell me when to show up except for the wake-up call. You know, I know when, but I told me when to show up for that. I made the schedule, and so you know, I'm going to suffer through this beautifully well-heated house. It's freezing outside, but I'll tell you, it's nice and toasty in here. And then I think I'm going to get breakfast with my wife. It's going to be fun. I'll get to play with my daughter. How's that sound? Is that worth it? Is that worth becoming competent, learning some stuff, so you never have to work a job again? I say yes. I don't know what you say, but I say yes. My goodness, I've been talking for 58 minutes. Guys, I thought this was going to be a short one. I thought, you know what, I'm going to come up with a topic on a whim, you know, because after all, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just us here tonight, and we're just going to have a quick call, and man, my mouth runneth over. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and open up for Q&A. Hopefully this conference bridge is working. Hopefully you guys were able to hear anything that I just said, because we did have some technical issues prior. But let's go ahead and do some Q&A. So if you'd like to comment, it appears that we have a small group that was able to get on the call tonight, but if you'd like to comment, you can hit *6. Questions or comments on this whole idea of learning, becoming more able, you know, overcoming the problems to sales and marketing and business, right? You're welcome to jump out here and make a comment or ask any questions that you would like. If you do have a question about like tech support issues, or you know, how do you find your coach or something like that, hit the help desk. I can't solve that problem for you right now, but if there is a problem I could solve for you, I'm happy to do so. So *6 will unmute your line if you'd like to come out. The lines are open. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. If nobody's got a question or a comment, we could just wrap it up right there, since we did go for our full hour session. Last call, any questions or comments? And again, it may just be that this conference bridge is not being our friend. I do see somebody. Here we go. And it appears that my friend William, you're live on the air. How are you, sir?
I'm well.
Good, good. What say you, William?
This is my first time on, so I just wanted to see what advice you give me.
I just gave you an hour's worth.
You did. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any specific advice you're looking for?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, William. Thanks for jumping out here. And if nothing else, confirming that this conference bridge is working. I appreciate you. It's your first time in the Black Diamond call. Ladies and gentlemen, there's William. William, where are you from, by the way?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Awesome. New Mexico, right down the street from me. I'm in Utah. So, good stuff. Glad you're here, William. Welcome to Digital Altitude, and tune in each week to the Black Diamond Call, and of course each day for our wake-up call. So glad you're here, my friend. And with that, I don't see anybody else, so we're going to go ahead and end the group participation. And let me just look in the chat roll real quick and see. Oh, I just see some acknowledgement. Thank you all. Apparently, people were able to hear me. That's very good. That's a confidence booster right there. Thank you all for your comments in the chat roll. And I do see a lot of people who did chime in. So anyway, I'll be back here with everybody with a really awesome guest speaker next week. I've already got them booked. And assuming everything goes well with our scheduling, we will have our co-host with us next week. In the meantime, I will see everyone on the wake-up call tomorrow with Tatiana. Make it a great day. You certainly deserve it. And bye for now.